Nancy Shaw with Healthy Living. Today our guest is Erin Carpenter. Hi Erin, thank you for joining us.
Hi Nancy.
Erin oversees the Ames Parks and Recreation Taekwondo program, which is a very popular program, correct?
It is, yes.
So why do people take Taekwondo? What do they get out of a class?
There's lots of reasons. For one, it's a fun workout.
It's a very fun workout, yes.
For adults. And then for kids, a lot of them will take it for, they get into it for self-defense, or they want to be a Ninja Turtle.
Yes, they do.
Or a Power Ranger or something cool like that. But they, sometimes parents want to enroll their kids to boost their confidence and their self-esteem. Their parents want them to learn respect.
Yes, respect is a big part of Taekwondo.
It is, and it's one of the very first things we teach is how to show respect for people, and we practice being polite. They like to learn the kicking and the punching, and they have fun. A lot of kids will pull their friends into class with them, so then they get to do activities with friends that maybe they wouldn't get to do in school.
Right, and it's a good activity away from the school.
It is.
It's not a sport at the school. So for kids who are looking for something, they don't like basketball or soccer, and they want to do something else, it's a great way for them to.
It's really good for kids that don't thrive in a team sport.
Right. Because
it's individual. The classes are group, and training, a lot of it happens in groups, so they still learn cooperation skills.
Oh, definitely.
Their success is dependent on them.
Right.
It's completely individual.
Right. Now, I was able to take Taekwondo for a few years with my daughter, which was great. It was a great sport to do with, actually both my daughters ended up doing it, we did it together. So you see a lot of that, right? Parents and kids doing it together?
We have a lot of parents and kids doing it together. I have moms and children and dads and their sons, moms and daughters, moms and sons. All through the class. So there's some great role models in our advanced class, and then some brand new ones, actually a lot of new ones in the beginner class. Sometimes even kids start it, and then parents see how much fun they're having, and then they start
they have to sit
later.
There and watch, they decide they might as well just join in. I know I've known some parents who have done that. After they've watched a year or two, they decide just to start themselves.
Yeah.
So what does a typical Taekwondo class look like?
Well, we start out with warm-ups. Kids don't need a warm-up, but it's a good habit to form.
Right, exactly.
Start out with a warm-up, and then we do hand techniques, punching, blocking, work on stances, developing those legs, muscles, and core. Then we move on to kicking, basic kicking, eventually getting up into more advanced kicking. We also practice forms, which are a set of patterns that they have to memorize. One-step sparring, which is basic self-defense techniques.
Right.
We'll do a little cool down, and sometimes we do something fun. If the class was really good, we might play a game, or we'll sit and do a breathing exercise and cool down together.
And I remember the challenges. Sometimes you throw in challenges, and like a balance challenge. And those are really fun.
Who can stand on one leg the longest?
Right, right. I remember that very well. I usually didn't win those.
Things that are fun, but still they're developing coordination and balance.
Right, right. So at our program, Parks and Recreation program, we have 3 different classes, correct? Beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
Yes.
Those meet Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Ames Middle School in the wrestling room. And then Sundays we have an all levels class. But going back to the beginner, intermediate, advanced, so where's the point when you move from beginner to intermediate and etc.?
So everyone starts out in beginner class as a white belt.
Right.
And after they have learned a basic set of skills, they test for their yellow belt and they move up to intermediate class. And then things get harder. Right,
as they should.
We do more complicated techniques, and we have a higher level of standard for how well they have to perform. And then they move up a few more ranks, and then once they've sort of mastered their intermediate skills, we move up to advanced class.
Okay.
And then we throw the rest of it at them.
Right. So how long, especially as a beginner, how long usually before you test and move on to your next belt, your yellow belt, correct?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes it'll take a few months. sometimes 6 months. It depends on the student.
Right.
So it's when they learn the material and they're ready.
Right.
And it depends on how often they come to class. If they come
Yes.
once a week, it's going to take longer. If they take it 2 or 3 times a week, it'll take maybe a couple months.
Right. And then the Sunday class, as I mentioned, is an all levels class, which is really important because the upper ranks help the younger ranks, and it's a really neat class to have. You have all sorts of ages, all sorts of levels, and everybody works together. And
yeah, it's good for everybody.
It is.
The newer students get to watch the more advanced students and copy them, and then the more advanced students get to help the lower students,
Right.
so that they learn teaching skills.
Right. And they get to see what's to come if they stay in Taekwondo,
Yeah.
which I thought was always really encouraging as a white
is.
belt. And so then also on Sundays, following the all levels class, we have a new class that we just started this last year. It's a competition class, which has been
Yes.
really successful.
Really, yeah. I love Taekwondo competition, and then my husband, who's also one of our instructors, he's sort of, we balance each other. We have different sort of points of view on the competition. So I specialize in one area and he specializes in the other, and we switch off every other week.
That's great. That's a great situation.
But the students really love it. We've really noticed much more improvement in the students that come to the competition class, just in their everyday class, because they get a little more personal instruction. We go over a little bit more detail than we're able to in the larger groups. And they have thrived in competitions.
It's been really, really good to see the numbers grow and the interest that people have in the competition class. So when people go to Taekwondo, what do they wear? Do they need to have a uniform before they go? Or
No, somebody could show up just in workout clothes, comfortable clothes, no dresses.
No dresses. Wow.
But then before they go to test for their yellow belt, they'll have to have a uniform.
Right, and they purchase that from you, so that's taken care of. They don't have to go finding the right uniform, etc.
No.
And then the belts they get as they test.
Yes.
Right. And what about testing? What usually takes place in a testing? I know I was always so nervous before testing, but they weren't so bad.
No, testing is just like class, except that there's a panel of black belt judges watching you.
Right. Okay, that was a little nerve-wracking.
So you have to perform what you know, but under a little bit of stress.
Right. Which stress is good. It's good. And where do the testings take place?
We do them at Iowa State.
Right. So it's really convenient and easy.
Here in town.
And the instructors let the participants know when they're ready to test. So
Yeah.
it's a really good good situation as far as having that here in town to go to. So I know with martial arts, there's some misconceptions out there.
There are.
People think, so can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I know when I was a little kid, I totally wanted to be a Ninja Turtle, Power Ranger kind of thing. And I wanted to take martial arts, and I didn't get to because my parents thought that it was going to be violent, that I would just become more effective at beating up my younger brother and sister. But it's not. It's really the opposite. The very first thing that we teach kids is how to show respect.
Yes.
And work together and cooperate. It's sort of the misconception of that it'll promote violence is actually the opposite. And there's research to back that up. That students who study martial arts are less likely to hurt another person, and they're more likely to step in to help someone else who's being mistreated.
Right, and I remember that from the classes, just how respect was taught and how it was focused so much. It was just, as I did it with my kids, it was just such a neat thing to see it happen constantly through every class that you took. So, and they learned to respect teachers and older people and other kids. So yeah, that's a really, really good point to make about martial arts, because people do think,
They worry.
Yeah, they worry. It's all about the hitting part of it. So we have Taekwondo classes through Parks and Recreation. We offer them Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at the Ames Middle School in their wrestling room, and Aaron and Dave oversee the program. So if people have questions and are interested in the program, they can always contact us at Ames Parks and Recreation, and we can have them contact you. And
we also have a little website and Facebook if they want to check us out.
That's right. That's right. So Erin, I know one of the main forms that we all learn right from the beginning of Taekwondo is Kicho elbow. I still kind of remember it, but I was wondering if you could show our audience Kicho elbow so they could see what you do when you do a form.
Absolutely.
All right. That was great to see. It's very impressive how sharp your punches and your kicks are. So thank you so much for joining us today. This is very informative about Taekwondo and a Parks and Recreation program. If you are interested in learning more, you may contact me at 239-5353 or check out all our programs online at amesparkrec.org. Thank you, Erin, for joining us.
You're welcome.
And I'm Nancy Shaw with Healthy Living. And remember, it's never too late to get fit.